The placement of Black Moon Lilith in the 11th house of a natal chart is a profound indicator of an individual's complex relationship with the collective, the tribe, and the concept of belonging. Lilith represents the primal, untamed, and often repressed aspects of the psyche, the part of us that refuses to compromise or submit. When she resides in the 11th house, the sphere of friendships, social groups, hopes, and humanitarian ideals, the soul's journey becomes one of navigating the tension between the need for community and the fierce necessity for personal autonomy. The outsider within the group. The 11th house is traditionally where we seek validation through our peers and align ourselves with larger movements. However, Lilith here creates a lone wolf energy, even when surrounded by people. You may find that no matter how hard you try to fit in, there is an inherent quality about you that feels other. This isn't necessarily because of a lack of social skill, but rather a subconscious refusal to dilute your essence for the sake of group harmony. At its core, this placement suggests a history, perhaps from early childhood or even ancestral patterns, of being ostracized or misunderstood by peers. You might have felt like the black sheep of your social circle or found that your most authentic ideas were met with resistance or fear. This often leads to a cynical view of social dynamics, where you can see through the hypocrisy and groupthink of organizations with piercing clarity. The power of nonconformity. While the 11th house Lilith can feel isolating, its greatest strength lies in its radical authenticity. You are the one who calls out the emperor's new clothes. In activist or humanitarian spaces, you aren't interested in the performative aspects of social justice. You are there for the raw, uncomfortable truth. You possess a unique ability to champion the marginalized because you understand the periphery better than anyone else. Your friendships are rarely conventional. You are likely drawn to other misfits, rebels, or people who exist on the fringes of society. There is a deep-seated loyalty to those you deem real, but a hair-trigger sensitivity to any hint of betrayal or exclusion. If a group demands that you sacrifice your individuality to remain a member, you will walk away without looking back. Lilith would rather be alone in the wilderness than a puppet in a palace. Shadows and sabotage. The shadow side of this placement often manifests as a profound fear of rejection that leads to preemptive social sabotage. Because you expect to be cast out, you may unconsciously provoke groups or create distance before anyone else has the chance to exclude you. There can also be an intensity in friendships that borders on the obsessive or the transformative. Your platonic bonds often go through death and rebirth cycles. Furthermore, your hopes and dreams for the future, also 11th house themes, may be tinged with a sense of forbidden desire. You might want things that society deems unrealistic or dark, or you may feel that your ultimate goals are at odds with what is considered good or proper. Integration and resolution. To master Black Moon Lilith in the 11th house, you must accept that you were never meant to be a joiner in the traditional sense. Your role is that of the independent visionary. When you stop trying to bridge the gap between yourself and the normies, you unlock a magnetic power. People are naturally drawn to those who do not seek their approval. The healing path involves finding a tribe of individuals, a paradox where each member is encouraged to be their most eccentric self. You are tasked with redefining what community looks like. It is not about assimilation, it is about a collection of diverse, autonomous spirits moving toward a shared vision. By embracing your status as an outsider, you become the very catalyst for change that the collective needs, proving that one does not need to belong to a group to impact the world. In the end, Lilith in the 11th house teaches that the most revolutionary act you can perform is to stand in a room full of people and remain entirely, unapologetically yourself. When Black Moon Lilith resides in the 11th house, the zodiac sign it inhabits acts as the flavor of your social rebellion and the specific way you experience being an outsider. Aries, you are the ultimate pioneer who clashes with group leaders. Your social presence is assertive and sometimes provocative, as you cannot stand being told how to contribute to a cause. Taurus, you feel alienated from the material values of your peers. You may have a forbidden approach to resources or find that your stubborn loyalty to your own values makes group compromise nearly impossible. Gemini, Your ideas are often too radical for the collective. You may be accused of being a trickster in social circles or find that your way of communicating sets you apart from the standard narrative. Cancer, you seek a soul family but often feel rejected by the very groups you try to nurture. There is a deep, primal protective instinct over your inner circle, but you may feel like a permanent orphan in society. Leo, you have a magnetic but polarizing social presence. You crave recognition from the collective but despise the fame games required to get it, often sabotaging your own status to remain authentic. Virgo, you are the critic of the collective. You see the flaws in every organization and movement, which can make you appear cold or too difficult for group harmony, though your insights are usually correct. Libra, you experience the shadow side of fair weather friends. You may feel that social justice is a lie or struggle to find a balance between your fierce independence and the social pressure to be nice. Scorpio, your friendships are intense, private, and transformative. You likely uncover the dark secrets of the groups you join, leading to powerful alliances or scorched earth exits. Sagittarius, you are the heretic among the believers. You have a wild vision of the future that often contradicts the dogmas of your peers, making you a nomad who wanders between different social philosophies. Capricorn, you have a deep distrust of hierarchies and social structures. You may feel like an outcast in professional circles or refuse to play the networking game, preferring to build your own legacy from the outside. Aquarius, in its home house, Lilith is at her most alien. You feel a profound detachment from humanity as a whole, acting as a radical visionary who is decades ahead of the very people you wish to help. Pisces, your social boundaries are porous or non-existent, leading to a feeling of being lost in the collective. You may be the scapegoat for the group's repressed emotions or find your ideals are too ethereal for reality. A transit of Black Moon Lilith through the 11th house is a 9-month period of radical social pruning and ideological awakening. If the natal placement is about a lifelong sense of being an outsider, the transit is the initiation where you are forced to confront the shadow side of your community and your own need for belonging. The cracking of the social mask. When Lilith enters your 11th house, the groupthink you once tolerated becomes unbearable. This transit often begins with a sense of sudden, sharp irritation toward your social circles. You may find yourself looking at friends or organizations you've been part of for years and suddenly seeing the hypocrisy, the hidden power dynamics, or the superficiality you previously ignored. Lilith's energy is unapologetic. During this transit, you are likely to experience a fall from grace or a voluntary exit from a group. This isn't necessarily a negative event, it is often a necessary liberation. If you have been suppressing your true self to fit in, Lilith will create a situation, perhaps a misunderstanding or a public disagreement, that forces you to choose between your integrity and your membership. The exposure of the shadow tribe. The 11th house governs our hopes and dreams, but Lilith's transit reveals the darker motivations behind them. Are you pursuing a certain goal because you truly want it, or because you want the status that comes with it? Lilith acts as a cosmic truth teller, stripping away the performative layers of your humanitarian or social efforts. You may also encounter Lilith figures in your social sphere, individuals who are rebellious, provocative, or perhaps even manipulative. These people act as mirrors, reflecting back to you the parts of your own nature that you have kept hidden. Conflicts with friends during this time are rarely about the surface-level issue, they are usually about power, autonomy, and the fear of being controlled by the collective. Reclaiming the visionary. The highest expression of this transit is the birth of a truly independent vision. As Lilith clears out the clutter of obligatory friendships and social expectations, you gain immense clarity on where you actually stand. You stop looking for a tribe to tell you who you are and start looking for collaborators who respect your wildness. By the end of the transit, your social circle may be smaller, but it will be significantly more authentic. You transition from being a person who fits in to a person who stands out. A note on 2026, Lilith in Sagittarius. As of early 2026, Black Moon Lilith is transiting through Sagittarius. If your 11th house falls in this sign, the transit takes on an even more philosophical and heretical tone. You may find yourself clashing with groups over matters of truth, religion, or political ideology. This is a time to be wary of spiritual bypassing in your communities and to stand firm in your personal truth, even if it makes you a pariah in the eyes of the dogmatic. The goal of this 2026 passage is intellectual and social sovereignty. Subscribe, like, and share.